Today's daf is Yud Ches. We're holding on the top by Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia bar Avin Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia bar Avin says the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Noch b'Yiddish es aviv dvar teda. And teda, a goy inherits from his father. The Chesiv, as the pasuk says, Ki Yerusha le'esav nasati es har seir, because I have given har seir to Esav as an inheritance. Now, so the Gemara says, V'dilma Yisrael meshubad shani. Perhaps it's different with regards to a Yid who's Meshubit. In other words, it's possible that Esav was not considered a Goy, but rather a Yid who was Meshubit, like the Avis. So, it's not a real Goy. Ella Ma'ocharada, you have to use this pasuk. Ki Livnein Leit Nasati or Yerusha. For I have given or to the children of Leit as Yerusha. And where it says, Reb Chia bar Avin, my time al Emer Rava. And Reb Chia bar Avin, why, what's the reason why he did not learn like Rava? So he learns out that the inheritance of the goy is from the other pasuk, or it says Miksi v'chisha bin kaneu v'leim yershu kaneu. So he says, "Is it written, and he shall reckon with his purchaser, not with the yershim of this purchaser." V'Rava, when it says Rava, my time lemmer could have Avram. Why isn't that Avram? Mishum kved Avram shani. He says because due to the honor of Avram is different. It's possible that for the sake of Avram, as inheritance was given to the members of his families and may not apply to Goyim in general. There are details of halacha of a Hebrew slave that do not apply to the case of a Hebrew maidservant. There's some halachas that are by Ivri but not by Ivri. In regards to Ivri, he goes out to the terms of 6 years, and by the death of the other. However, this does not apply by Hebrew maidservant. And there are unique details in the halachas of Ivri. First of all, there are unique details in regards to the Ivriya, as Ivriya leaves through signs indicating puberty. Ivriya Yitz B'Simanim Keres V'Nishnis Maftin Eisei Balkarchem Hashenki B'Ivriya. So there are unique details in regards to the maidservant, as a Hebrew maidservant leaves through signs of puberty. She's not sold for a second time, and one can redeem her against her will, as the Gemara will explain, which is not the case of a Eved Ivri. Amar, I would like to Brisa Yish of Be'ivri She'em Be'ivriya. There are halachics in regards to freeing a Hebrew slave that do not apply to the Hebrew maidservant. But meaning, the Gemara says, I want to ask you a contradiction from the Mishnah. You say that Allah Amar Ivriya has one mode of freedom more than him. She can ask him that she could acquire herself through signs of puberty. Now, when you say the expression more than him, it's mashma that all the modes through which the Eved Ivri can be redeemed apply to the Amar Ivriya. So Mamash Estira. So it says, Amar Shishis again, she Ada. Referring to the case where the master designated her to marry him during the 6 years. So she cannot be released from his authority by all the modes through which a Eved Ivri can be freed as she is his wife. So when it says, Ada, if he's designated to her Pshita, it's obvious that she cannot be released in the manner of slaves. Gita boy, because she requires a get. So my answer is you would say that it's that less you say that the primary halacha is not nullified with regards to her, even after she has been designated, she can still be free as a slave would be without a get. Mashmalom, we don't say that. If so, so why does she lead through Simanim? If he designated her, she becomes his wife, and signs indicating should not affect her. Where it says, this means to say, if he did not designate her, she goes out through Simanim. Where it says, a Ivriya is not sold a second time. So the message could be applied from here that the Eved Ivri is sold a second. But we learned that a Brisa big nevasei. It says that's based on his theft, which means they cannot be sold for the item that has been stolen a second time. In other words, although one could be sold into slavery to reimburse the owner for the principal of the theft, he cannot be sold to pay the fine. So the Gemara says, furthermore, it says, it says in his theft, but not for the conspiring testimony. If he's a conspiring witness who's required to pay the value of what he testified that another had stolen, but he doesn't have the money to do so, he's not sold as a slave. Being for his theft, that teaches us it can be sold for stealing only once. Once he has been sold one time, he may not sell him again. So Rabbi says in the Lekash, it's not a question. Kam b'gneva achas. Here the second price is referring to one theft, kam b'shtei gnevas. And the first price is referring to two thefts. So if he stole a large amount but is not worth enough as a slave for the proceeds of the sale to repay the entire debt, in that case he cannot be sold a second time. And the price is referring to two thefts, as he may be sold a second time if he stole once and stole again. Abaya says to him, Big Nevasai, for his theft, Tua Mashma indicates many thefts. Rabbi rises like Kasha. It's not a question. Kamba the Mechod. And the second price is referring to one who stole from one person. This thief cannot be sold a second time, even for several thefts. And the first price is referring to theft from two people. If the property he stole was worth 1,000, v'shava chamish meis nimkar v'chezer v'nimkar. Now, if the property he stole was worth $1,000, and he is a slave, and as a slave he is worth only 500, he is sold and sold again. If the property he stole was worth 500, but he's worth 1,000, and nimkar klai is not sold at all. But Lazar says, the property stole was exactly equal to the value he was. If he were sold, Nimkar is sold. If not, he's not sold. Amar Rava says, in this case, Rabbi Lazar won over the Chachamim. The Maishla Gneva say Chamesh Meis V'Shav Aleph Nimkar. What's the difference in the case where the property he stole is worth 500 and he's worth 1,000? The Nimkar Kulei Amrachman Ablechatzi. Because the Torah says that he's sold entirely and not part of it. Hachanami here too also, if he's worth less than the value of the property he stole, he could say, that the Irish that he sold for his theft, that he's not sold for part of his theft. One can redeem, he made servant against his will. Some and Rabbi thought to say that this means against the will of the master. In other words, he can be redeemed even if he refuses. Abaya says, mind you, what is the mechanism of freedom freeing her against the will? He writes a document to him for her value. He's holding a pearl of Marganis in his hand. He's giving him a shard. Rabbi says, it means against the will of her father. Due to the family flaw. In other words, the harm caused to the family named by her status. The Beis Din pressures the father as much as possible to redeem her, as it is disgraceful to the family if one of his daughter is a maidservant. So when he says Yachiv saw Evet Ivri, also one should force the family of a Hebrew maidservant to redeem him, also due to the family flaw. My answer is Hadar Ozol Mizab Nafshi. As he will go back and sell himself and earn money to this manner at the family expense. Whereas here too, in the case of the Hebrew maidservant, the father might go back and sell her as a maidservant and get to receive money from her a second time. This is what was taught. She's not sold a second time. Whose opinion? This is Reb Shimon. Tanya related to Abraisa. One could sell, transfer his young daughter in marriage and go back and make her again if she was discovered divorced or widowed. So again, a person can sell his young daughter in marriage and go back and forth and go back and Mekadosh her again if she is divorced or widowed. When you sell into slavery and transfer again, this time for marriage after he sold into slavery. Shimon says, that just as a person cannot sell his daughter into slavery after marriage, so too a person cannot sell his daughter into slavery after slavery. Or this is a pluksa dani tanoi, and this is really machlekes tanoi. Tanoi learned in the brayso. The big day ba, it says, as it is taught, it says you shall have no power to sell it to foreign people, seeing that he has dealt deceitfully with her bevigda ba. Now, the Gemara says, once the master has spread the garment over her, designating as a wife, Shubin and Ashla cannot sell her again. But these are the words of Rakir. Allah says, big day ba. What does big day ba means? Kivin shababid ba. Once the father dealt deceitfully, Shubin and Ashla he cannot sell her again. Gemara says, what are they arguing? Rabbi S says, says that the tradition or the manner in which the pasuk is written has authoritative. And one derives the halachas based on the spelling of the words. One relies on the way the word is written without the vocalization. Therefore, it is written, though it is written as bivida, which refers to betrayal, not a garment. But Kiva says no, it's the vocalization. The Torah is authoritative, meaning that one derives the halachas based on the pronunciation of the words, although it diverges from the spelling. And since one pronounces it as bivida, it is related to the word beged, which means garment. So she cannot be sold as a slave after she has been taken as a wife, nor can she be sold again after she has already been sold again. As the designation of the Amr Ivriya for Kidushin by her master affect marriage, or does it affect only Kidushin? The difference should be in the outcome of whether he inherits her, does her husband inherit her property if she dies as he would if you should marry him, or whether he's obligated to become impure to her, bury her if she dies, and whether he can nullify her vows. What's the halacha? Tashma comment in the resolution the big debach. This is big debach. Keep it shabir shalisi Allah shuvin hershel. Once her master has spread his garment over her, the father may no longer sell her. The warrant analyzes the statement. Sabunin blame zamali. The father cannot sell her afterwards. But he can designate her for another man. And if you say that it affects the marriage, once she's married, her father no longer has authority over her. It must be that the Irsin does it. He says, here the Bryce is done with a case of ordinary Kidushin, of ones that are not a person who sells his daughter to as a maid servant. And this is what the Bryce is saying. Since her father gave her Kidushin to one who is obligated to provide her food, her clothing, and the rights, so you can no longer sell her. Therefore, the rights approves nothing with regards to the issue of whether or not designation affects the marriage. Father cannot sell his daughter as a servant to relatives to whom she is usher from relations. He can sell it to relatives. They agree that he can sell it to King Gadol. Those also for to marry these men, their Kidushin is effective, and therefore designation is not entirely impossible in these cases. So the Gemara says, what are the circumstances of the Amana? If we say that she's Mikadeshus, she was Mikadesh herself when she was Amana and her husband died, so Amana Karile, why are you calling her Amana? The Kasha Avia, rather than say that her father was Mikadesh her. Can he sell her? But a star person cannot sell his daughter to slavery after marriage. Here's referring to a widow from Kidushin Yud. The original money of the sale, the Maser was not given for the Kidushin. And if you say that designated marriage affects marriage, once she's married, her father has no longer authority over her. How can he sell her the second time after the death of her first husband? So if you're going to ask, okay, so what does it mean that designation affects only Kidushin? The Shavan Shemechri, and they agree that they can sell her. We just said a person cannot sell his daughter into slavery after marriage. Vice also refers to a case where a woman was Mekudesh, but the marriage was not consumed. It was not consummated. What are you going to say? That Kidushin affected by her is different from the Kidushin of her father. Says the marriage is not performed through her father, but by the master giving her additional money. The principle that one cannot sell his daughter as a slavery after Kidushin does not apply. When it says, even if you see the designation affects marriage, you can argue that marriage affected by her is different than marriage affected by her father. Halmani, who's this? Shani. One Kidushin from the other Kidushin is different. There's a difference between the static Kidushin with regards to father's consent and Kidushin through designation, which is performed upon them a master's initiative. After the type of Kidushin, the father can in fact sell her a second time. But in regards to marriage, Shani is really different. In both cases, she is fully released by her father's authority, by Torah. He should not be able to sell her again. Now, like quite Nachman, he says that even according to Basi, the original money of the sale, the maidservant was given for the purpose of the Kiddushin, according to with whose opinion this is established. Establish it. Make a look at it's for slavery after slavery that he's not able to sell her. He's able to sell her into slavery after marriage.